Fun means we're live. A casual take with your boy Stephen Pepper, here to give a take off my chest. So everyone and their mother right now is trying to find different ways to save the NBA All-Star game, and I kind of think they're wasting their time. This might be a hot take, but I kind of feel like the concept of All-Star games are just dead. Like, it's not just an NBA thing. Same thing goes for the MLB, NFL, and NHL, where in today's society, these games just feel kind of dated. They don't really work. They're not as fun as they used to be. I was thinking about this last night, and I also heard Bill Simmons talk about this similarly on his podcast, where what we find as Americans entertaining evolves throughout time. There was a point where late night talk shows and game shows were the biggest thing ever until they weren't, because we got podcasts and games on our phone. I feel the same thing is happening with the All-Star game, where 20 to 30 years ago, it was really cool to see MJ team up with Shaq or Favre throw to Rice. Today, I just think we are so overly exposed to these athletes thanks to social media, all these streaming services to access games and video games, as to where we take these moments for granted, where that charm that once held together let's face it, a meaningless exhibition game isn't quite there anymore. It's just not as cool. Like the dunk contest, for example, I think it's another great example. A lot of people will tell you that, the dunk contest was falling off because there's a bunch of no names and not a bunch of stars participating. I do think it's true to an extent, or I do think the dunk contest would benefit from having bigger names and not end of the bench guys, because bigger games are a bigger draw. But I'm also a believer in the All-Star game can work great with a bunch of Mac McClungs and Stephon Castles. These guys aren't household names, and I thought they put on a great show on Saturday. The issue with the dunk contest that not a lot of people are talking about is that we've been doing this for so long, like 40 plus years. We're at a point now where we're just kind of running out of dunks. We're like our NBA players that we think are such high flyers just aren't equipped enough to do the dunks that are in the next level that we haven't seen before. You need to go to the professional dunkers who put all the time and effort into making those dunks. So, you can have your stars like your Jaws and Ants in the dunk contest that you want, but you can ask Ant himself, because he even said it. He's just not skilled enough to do these dunks that you want him to do. So when you finally get your stars in the dunk contest, you're going to realize, oh, this kind of blows. And then you're never going to watch the dunk contest again. So when I see people like try to justify all these solutions for saving the All-Star game, like, oh, you got to pay them millions of dollars. We got to strip their All-Star nod if they lose. We got to make this about home court in the finals. I'm like, guys, what are we doing? We just got to understand that these athletes, they're so overpaid, so overly coddled, so entitled to their own brand, a lot of mileage on their legs dating all the way back to youth sports, is that they don't really care. You can't motivate them to care about this meaningless exhibition game. These breaks are just now PTO for them. They're not going to risk the injury. And for while the consumer also doesn't think these games are cool anymore, same with the players. That's why they're not trying as hard, or it looks like they're not having as fun as they did in 2005 compared to 2025. So, you can look at the NHL All-Star game. It's completely different now. It's like the four nations. They don't even do an All-Star game anymore between the two conferences. The NFL's Pro Bowl is straight up flag football because it was such a disaster earlier in this decade. And the MLB is holding on to dear life. I just think it's because you can't half-ass baseball. They're holding on to dear life. What we find is entertaining 20, 30 years ago, late night talk shows, game shows, they don't last. We have different mediums now. I think social media has really changed a lot of things, where we're so overly exposed, and all these moments and all these highlights and all these news and all these games and all these talk shows and interviews are all in our pocket now 24/7, where moments like these that 20 to 30 years ago that didn't come around as often are just no longer cool. Now, for the NBA, I don't think they need to get rid of the All-Star game, because I still think it has some value. I just think we need to relax. And once we accept that what we had 20 to 30 years ago in this game is just no longer obtainable anymore, then you just take the All-Star game as it is. It's just like a little fun, little time off for these players and put on a couple shows, and that's it. Then going forward, you just won't expect a lot from these games that you think you should. But let me know what you guys think about this take. I appreciate everyone for tuning into this episode of A Casual Take. Follow my social medias. Stay updated on all things related to the show. Till next time, see ya.